It's Duran Duran.
Wow.
Wow, boys!
This band strengthened and united our friendship.
Because he got pulled over by the St. John's ambulance.
Exactly. In 19...
Welcome to the Guardians of the Vinyl Vault. 4 old friends, 1 sacred vault, and a lineup of artists awaiting judgment.
So welcome back to another edition of Guardians of the Vinyl Vault, the podcast in which the 4 Guardians now, we're not Vaulters, we are Guardians, have to listen and decide whether the person who's pitching for an artist, it's just one artist, we should allow them into the vault. Think of it as a responsibility for the listening ears of future people. I think about it as if the world were to end, we're responsible for people rediscovering music again. It's a big responsibility. Tonight, it's Gareth's responsibility. Gareth, who are you pitching?
Right, Rodney, it's Duran Duran. So I put a phone call into Simon Le Bon earlier today, and he actually said about 3 years ago, today in 2022, the band was actually inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So
yes,
they were
but
3 years ago.
whoa,
So hold
wait
on
a
a sec.
minute.
But he actually believed getting inducted into the vinyl vault of would be much more important. So let me start off with a couple of stats.
Absolutely right.
Just for stats.
No.
Hold on a sec.
Just to establish that we're all being very neutral and
you're not
open-minded before we go any further. Just to declare, I mean, I'm extraordinarily neutral and open-minded at the start of this. I have actually seen Duran Duran live. I mean, we might come to a story about that, mightn't we, Gareth?
Oh, we might come to a story about that.
We might come to
Okay, so let's start. So, whenever I'm trying to pitch,
do we not get Richard's opinions? He more saw the St. John's ambulance, didn't he?
He felt a little faint. That's all.
He did. He was a bit.
We'll have to explain
We'll come back
proper
to that.
back history.
No, don't worry. Me and Gareth will tell it much better than you ever could. But there we go.
Okay,
Simon.
I'm gonna go. I know with these, whenever I'm pitching Duran Duran, I'm looking only to sway one person, that's Rodney, because I know you've come in with a completely closed mind, Stephen, on that. Richard should be okay in this here. But anyway, some stats: 16 studio albums. The recent one released in 2020. Oh, I'll have to come back to that there. I had that down in my stats. I'll come to that at some stage.
24, I think. 24.
He's getting.
No. They had one last year. Dance Macabre, I think, with Halloween.
That's right.
Rodney. He's getting help.
Right.
As chairman, you need.
You know
to
the way we
stop
said we'll interrupt a little bit. You have interrupted. I don't know how many times. Right? Okay.
You said you didn't know when he come in and helped you. It's your pitch, not his.
It was more of a concept album, but yes, it was an album.
16 studio albums, 4 live albums, 4 compilation albums, 2 remix albums, and 2 box sets. They have played many stadiums. One of the criteria that I use for the Vinyl Vault. Played to 1 million people on New Year's Eve 2022, and every month they have 16.2 million listeners on Spotify.
Wow.
But let's get into the real detail, because Stephen now is clambering.
Richard's impressed. 16.2 million.
So they defined the sound of the 80s. Few bands captured the decade's sleek mix of glamour, technology, and hooks quite like Duran Duran. They blended pop with art school ambition and made it danceable. Tracks like Rio, Hungry Like a Wolf, and The Reflex didn't just top the charts. They set the template for polished synth pop rock swagger. Now that is legacy. MTV owes its success to Duran Duran. When MTV needed content, Duran Duran gave them cinema. Their video, Save a Prayer, the ultimate Wild Boys, released in
I tell you what, this
1984.
is going to absolutely mess up the YouTube video because he's gone dark.
Oh, have I?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I
Sorry.
mean,
Sorry.
I didn't touch anything.
I
I
don't know
didn't
what
touch
you were playing
anything,
at.
but we're going on YouTube, and
Okay.
he decided he was probably so embarrassed that he's
No,
covered his
I
camera.
thought he was doing the black screen because maybe a moon would appear. It'd be new
Yeah.
moon on Monday.
New
I
moon
thought
on
he
New
was
Moon
Monday.
on
doing
Monday.
that.
I like it.
So they turned.
So far, the
He's such a wild
most
boy.
the two most important points of information have actually come from Richard, not from
Yeah.
Gareth. Just
So
Go on,
they
remember
Gareth.
that.
You
turned
carry on, Gareth.
they turned pop into an adventure film, jet setting from Sri Lanka to yachts in the Caribbean to the Wild Boys, released in 1984. This time last in 1984. So the anticipation for a Duran Duran video was the same as a major blockbuster film release. Even Morrissey in Smash Hits October 1984 picked Wild Boys as his single of the fortnight.
Made up.
Wow.
That just popped up my Facebook this week, and I went, "Yes, I can't believe this."
Definitely not true.
Totally true, and I've got the picture here to show you. So I have, right?
Oh, he's got
Uh,
photographic evidence
They
now, Rodney.
closed streets. They caused pandemonium among fans everywhere they went. Beneath the glamour was a serious musicianship. John Taylor's bass lines are funk pop gold. Roger's drumming is tight, and Nick Rhodes' synth work is still set up by Electronic Artist Day. And then we haven't even talked about Simon Le Bon, one of the best vocalists ever. They were a band that could actually play. From New Romantic Pioneers to 90s survivors to the noughties, Duran Duran reinvented themselves without losing identity. Few 80s acts evolved, but Duran Duran also evolved gracefully. And we're still headlining festivals 40 years later. They cracked America and the world. They're still releasing albums. In 2015, Paper Gods sold 24,000 copies in the first week. 500 million downloads of Hungry Like a Wolf and Ordinary World. Future Past released in 2021. This is longevity and reinvention. From Planet Earth to Anniversary, they've stayed relevant across 5 decades. No mean feat. Most 80s acts faded. Duran Duran evolved. Influence that spans generation, and this is where we really like to talk about legacy. Without Duran Duran, there would be no Killers, no Arctic Monkeys, no Harry Styles with eyeliner. They made synth rock cool and fashion part of the art form. Major producers such as Mark Ronson, Nile Rodgers, Giorgio Moroder, Tove Lo all wanted to work with Duran Duran. Charlie XCX cites them as an influence. But their 2021 album Future Past wasn't a nostalgia trip. It was proof they remain creatively alive and they are still willing to change.
This is
I have
just one
seen
episode.
Duran
Don't. This is
so
one
many
episode.
times.
Don't go into the second episode.
Okay,
You're
I'll
nearly
tell you.
finished.
We've seen Duran Duran many times, and I can actually say all 4 of us have seen Duran Duran together. No mean feat for this panel. I know, Stephen, you're going to vote, but that's just you're trying to go against because we went against Smiths.
Oh, we
Rodney,
didn't actually. I didn't.
no, but
Richard did not.
me, I'm talking me.
Note
But
that, Richard. Note
and
that he's tried to paint
Rodney,
you with the
I
same
know
brush.
you love Duran Duran. So, boys, I'll hand that over to you.
Can I ask, at that time, what was distinct about Duran Duran compared to other bands in that era? Were they different? I mean, if you look at their big rivals, was it Spandau or was it somebody else? What were they doing that was different?
Rodney, that's an excellent question.
Truthfully, the Spandau were not rivals to Duran Duran. It was a bit similar to Blur and Oasis, to tell you the
Yeah.
truth, at the
Who
time.
were rivals?
Who were rivals? Yeah, they were rivals, but in relation to stature, Oasis kept going on and were much more successful. And we've discussed this in many times. Oasis had much better longevity than Blur.
So you've answered Rodney's question by not really answering.
Okay,
it. So would you like another opportunity?
where are Spandau Ballet now? Where were Spandau Ballet in the
Well, they
noughties
had a
and
massive
the
court case. They had a
Yeah.
massive
tens?
court case.
Yeah, but where are they?
What I'm saying is, who else was doing that type of thing at that time, or
No
were
one
they
like Duran
different?
Duran. They were they not only did the music, but they did the videos. They
Yeah.
were
Pop
creative
culture.
and right across the spectrum.
Yeah.
I think
Pop culture.
well, from Birmingham, of course. I
Yeah.
don't think Gareth mentioned that, but they're Brummies at heart. But what they did was just bring. I remember being at school, just total excitement of pop music with a fabulous, incredibly sexy, exotic video. Now I'm going to just say Rio straight away, which was who can not forget the all of that yacht, the hair, the blowing in the wind with the bright coloured suits, fabulous video. A girl coming in and out of the water with bright coloured makeup. It was just so Miami Vice exotica. It was just incredible. And then you would go to to Sri Lanka and Save a Prayer. Not only would you have great pop songs, but you'd have fabulous anthem ballads. They had everything at that time. They had good looks. They were on the cover of every magazine. They smashed America, not just broke it.
How important, Richard, is good looks in terms of the criteria to enter the vault?
I I
Now,
think
Richard,
no,
because
I think good looks just went with the image that they luckily they could back it up with melody, songs, and video. It just happened that they're all, Simon Le Bon was a great frontman in his
so
younger days. In his younger
the big
days.
good looking is
But
is a
Do you
do you
know?
know the
criteria.
thing is, Richard,
Do,
he is picking the smallest things that
I
lead
don't think
As is
anyone can. I
there's
don't think anyone.
several more small things to come.
Stephen, did you know that Stephen Tintin Duffy was the original
I
lead
did,
vocalist of
yes.
the band?
did, yeah, did.
And then Simon Le Bon came in 1980.
From a choir. He was originally a choir boy.
Was he? Oh,
Rodney, I think it's
he was the wild
important.
boy. He was a
There
choir
are
boy.
a few things I have to say, like Rodney, Stephen did the other week. I'm not going to just take it easy on God. There are some things I disagree with slightly, as in, secondly, his voice is distinctive, but to describe him as being one of the best vocalists
Yeah,
ever is
Okay.
no.
Okay.
I think that's going a bit too dramatic. But he has a distinctive voice.
Why is it going too far? I
Because
mean, could it be because he can't sing?
he can sing,
Well,
but it's a
yeah.
distinctive vocal. You know it's Simon Le Bon, but no, it's as in you mentioned Spandau Ballet. Tony Hadley now apparently is still fabulous live, has more of a pure voice, but Simon Le Bon was a brilliant frontman. Not only did he led the band, but it wasn't just Simon Le Bon. It was like a proper. We didn't really have boy bands then, but everyone knew John, everyone knew Andy, Roger.
But were they not a boy band?
Are
And there's
you-
nothing wrong with being a boy
I know,
band, but they
no, I
were a
think
boy band.
boy bands. I think what we got used to in the '90s were people that just did dance moves, didn't play musical instruments. All these lads
But they were a
Here,
boy band.
By the way,
I suppose,
Richard.
in a way.
We're not on Wogan or Jeremy Paxman here. If you look at him there with his wee pen in his
Yes.
hand,
I've been
he thinks he's
scribbling
he's interviewing
furiously.
us.
Kirsty Ward. He thinks he's gone all Kirsty Ward.
Yeah.
You see,
But-
the thing I say in their defense, right, is that when it came to their individual instruments, they were all really good. I mean, John
Fantastic.
Taylor was a great bassist. Roger Taylor could play drums. There was a powerfulness about his drums. Nick Rose's synthesizer keyboard had that edginess about it, and he had the look that went with it. Le Bon's vocals actually not bad. So they were a perfect group of people for that time, and they all could play. They all really could play. And what were some of the bands that they went on to play? John Taylor,
the Power Station. The Power
and
Station.
Arcadia.
Power Station. Yeah,
That's the thing that I think might win you over, Rodney. The fact that people like John Taylor could go and play with Robert Palmer,
and
Yeah,
Tony
yeah, yeah.
Thompson,
Yeah.
and when they had little breaks, they did Simon and
Arcadia.
Nick Arcadia.
yes.
And they always kept making music in some format. Now, however, again, and this has come up in Vinyl Vault before, is my only issue sometimes were, even though they had decent albums, I always worried that they never really had a fully, from beginning to end, brilliant album. Rio was probably one, and the Wedding album was probably the closest they ever got. But they
Yeah.
had brilliant singles. My only issue was, and this I've been honest before this, I never really thought they had a classic album, but they got
Yeah, that's a good
lots
point.
of classic
Yes,
songs.
singles.
Now, I will mention briefly though, quite often people have tried to wipe them off, finish them off, say they're dead and buried. One of the biggest comebacks, and I'm not just saying this disingenuously. Ordinary World, they had hit rock bottom. They had to
Yeah.
finance their own album, record it in their own house or studio. Ordinary World is one of their best
It's a good
songs,
song.
and
Good
they
song.
came back with, and I think it was in the early 90s, 93, 94. Gareth might have to
I
correct.
think so.
What a song! And to show whenever anyone tries to write off Duran Duran, they can come back with an absolute belter.
I think the other side of it that is worth mentioning is the American side.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't know just quite how popular they were in America, but
Massive.
yeah, and they were one of the brands of that era that really broke in more so than Spandau actually.
Yeah.
Oh,
And,
well,
and
Spandau didn't break America. So
exactly. That's what I'm
Duran Duran
saying.
did. If you look at the Reflex video, if you remember the Reflex video, do you remember
I
the wave
do.
coming out? That was shot in America, if I'm
Yeah.
correct. And
Oh,
they
they
would
were-
actually close down streets
Yeah.
whenever they appeared in
They were
America.
packing stadiums in America then,
Yeah.
easily.
And then they could play because they could play stadiums. And we've talked about Live Aid. Now they play Wembley and Live Aid.
No, they played America, didn't
Did they?
they? Yeah, they were in America.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, they played the Philly. However, I'm being brutally honest here that they
Yeah.
weren't. They did a decent, but however, they are infamous for him, Simon Le Bon, not getting one. He hit one bum note, and that unfortunately, people jumped on that in one song. I can't remember what song it was, but you know, anyone can have that. No one was perfect on Live Aid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, to tell you the truth, the Philadelphia Live Aid, whenever it was screened back to the UK, the sound was not great
No.
anyway.
Definitely the TV company's fault. That definitely.
Yes.
But I give them
No
credit.
one was good, but to tell you the truth, watching it.
I tell you what, guy. I know we like to go back to that humor story. I think it was the first concert we ever saw.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was.
No, not only you made this thing about us.
Actually, no, I think you're right. No,
The first concert we ever saw in Northern Ireland in Belfast was Duran. Aha came
It
after.
was.
I think it was the
Yes,
first
it
concert we
was.
ever saw the four of us together.
Yeah,
That's
that's right.
certainly true. Yeah.
Well, it was certainly probably the
Yeah.
biggest thing we'd ever seen.
And you were overcome with emotion.
I was.
Simon.
I mean,
yes.
It's been quite a while since we recounted this story, but Gareth and I sort of dominated the previous recounting of the story. Richard, I don't feel you have had the opportunity to give your side.
Obviously, I was very excited to be
Very
there,
excited,
and I wanted to be near the
Some
front.
might say overcome.
And back then, of course, there was all this. There's no seats. It was all rammed at the front, and being of the smallest stature.
There were some big boys and girls around you at the time, wasn't there? Some of them were upwards of 13 and 14 years of age.
And I did ask to be pulled out by the bouncer over the front just to get a breath of fresh air. Yes, I'm not ashamed of it.
The funniest thing about that was, yes, everything you just said is absolutely true. And me and Gareth and Ron there at the front going, what happens now? What happens now? And about 5 minutes later, you just got this tap on the shoulder. Well, probably about the middle of the back.
Yeah.
And turn around, he was back. He was back. In fairness to him,
nothing was going to keep me
from
my
side. He'd come back.
Nobody was going to keep me from my Simon.
Absolutely.
Do you know I remember most for myself about that? I remember it was our first gig and going up to Belfast and all that was important. I had a red jumper on. Right, I wasn't very fashionista. Some would say I'm not now. I probably am, but I regretted that because the heat of it, and in that King's Hall, crowded with people, I just never felt trendy at all. And I could tell that day. And I think I went back and I said to mum, the next thing I was taking the top shop to buy some gear. But that's what I remember quite a lot about that gig.
Can we just remind everyone of that year, please? I think
1986.
No, it was 96, yeah.
Could
Which was
be.
86.
Yeah, we were
Notorious,
about
wasn't it?
15, 16.
It
Yeah.
was notorious.
Notorious Meat El Presente, because I remember clearly they appeared on the tube the next night.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a recorded tube or whatever,
Yeah,
but they
yeah.
were, whenever we went to watch the tube on a Friday night, they were on, sang 3 or 4 songs, Notorious Meat El Presidente.
And don't forget, in Northern Ireland at the time, the height of the Troubles, this was a major
It's
event.
Oh
huge.
yeah. Well,
Huge.
A lot of
Huge.
bands, Rodney, if I'm trying to sway you further as well, a lot of bands dodged going to Northern
Oh,
Ireland.
they did. They
And
did.
Duran didn't.
Yeah.
So this come back
I,
to
I,
legacy.
yes, I feel that I have not contributed as much as I should do. So at this juncture, I'd like
He's looking at his
to.
notes now.
Yeah, it's important to do your research, Gareth. I mean, not rely on Richard to sort of fact check you as you go along. But I looked up the dictionary there, and I found this entry: pretentious,
Oh,
attempting
jeez.
to impress by affecting greater importance or merit than is actually merited, and that for me sums up Duran Duran. On the bridge of a yacht, sailing in the southern Indian Ocean, with your sleeves of your dress jacket rolled up, singing about things that I know nothing about, such as Rio or Hungry Wolves or Girls on Film or similar
You
things.
didn't know about girls. You
Fabulous
were
video, by the
right.
way. Fabulous.
That's-
Let's come to that in a second.
Not quite hitting notes in the vocal, but thereabouts. Actually, Gareth, let me say, one of the best vocalists. Give me 2 or 3 that were better
Than him?
than him.
Yeah,
Just 2 or 3.
George Michael.
He was certainly better.
I'll give Prince.
Prince, he was certainly better. How about, you know, anybody you could possibly name who's whistled a tune
You only
down the
wanted 2
pub?
or
Yeah,
3.
it's funny though. It's funny how he got chosen to be one of the main vocalists at the beginning of Live Aid.
Yeah.
He was
Band Aid.
also happened to be one of the biggest selling artists of the time. But we do know, Rodney, do we
But
not?
Glad you
But
admit that.
Gareth,
We do know that we're doing not the
considering,
biggest selling artists
yeah.
are a massive criteria for
But in the
reaching
Band Aid,
the-
do they know it's Christmas? He was given quite a major
was.
piece.
He
So
was.
and he sung it dreadfully.
no, he
No,
didn't.
he didn't.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
It's all opinion.
So anyway, let's keep going, Stephen.
And I tell you
So-
what, we were talking in a previous episode about innovation, and Duran Duran have never wanted to stand still. Gareth mentioned all the producers that they work with. They always wanted to work with who was hot and up and coming. A couple of albums ago, they released. They made their video completely with AI before AI was getting all the mention in the press as it is now. They let an AI computer make their video, which came up with its own imagery.
So AI, when we think somebody has done their pitch from AI, bad thing. But when Duran Duran do it, good thing. And also, here's another one for you.
He thinks he's Jeremy Paxman. He
Duran
definitely
Duran,
thinks-
16 studio albums. Let me
Yeah.
give you another stat. The Fall, Mark E. Smith, 31 studio albums. Almost, but not quite, twice as good as
Yes,
Duran Duran.
But see, Stephen, you're picking out little things rather than looking at it from a global perspective. And listen, you could take down any group by taking out little tiny things like you have to be good looking, or there's one.
You said they were good.
I
No,
didn't
I
say
did.
it.
I did.
didn't
Sorry,
say it.
Richard did.
So,
I
yeah.
apologize.
Oh,
to,
I
certainly,
wanted
to the good-looking one.
someone's made.
young lads like me and Gareth were good looking at school. We wanted to be
Yeah.
like the good looking pop stars. You just
True.
wanted to look like Morrissey. So
Yeah.
that says it all.
No, maybe it was. It said nothing to me about my life. I'd never been on a yacht. I'd seen them on the telly.
I never.
I'd have been a yacht either.
And he
yeah,
looked, and
I'm not-
actually,
I could
he-
believe Gareth. I'm not sure I could believe you about
he
never
actually,
being on
he
a
could,
yacht, Richard.
Rodney is another one. He could back it up by being a keen sailor himself. Okay, he nearly drowned and killed everyone on the yacht, but he called Drum. Do you remember that? He
That's
capsized
right.
Drum.
Capsized
Oh,
it.
that's right.
Or that he nearly died on the Wild Boys video
Yes.
What
because the windmill stopped.
What? Absolutely. So what? Do you know what Duran Duran were?
One of the
They
best
were-
Bond themes ever. Is that what you're going to say?
That's right.
Rodney?
Good
Stephen.
point, Richard. I forgot that one.
View to a Kill, Rodney.
Yeah, Shirley Bassey.
Mr. Chairman,
Shirley
View to a
Bassey.
Kill.
Shirley Bassey had the best Bond theme, but we're not putting her in the vault. So Bros, without quite the same good looks.
God.
The Monkeys without the tunes, and Take That without the songwriter. That's what Duran Duran were. Duran Duran were also the Beatles without Revolver or Sgt. Pepper. They were Wham without George Michael's illustrious later career. Duran Duran were a boy band who were passably good looking, picked up on the mood and the look of new romance in the early 80s, and briefly captured the zeitgeist. That is all they were.
Briefly.
So,
and what's more, the good thing is, Stephen, you've mentioned a lot of top groups, the Beatles,
who they were not.
George Michael. I know, but what you're saying, they were without one little bit, or without one little bit.
Quite a significant bit, though.
Oh, no, you said 2 albums for the Beatles.
Duran Duran, which I think was a name of a character from
Barbarella.
You could go to any country in the world and say Duran Duran, and they would know. They could picture and sing a song.
Well, they might know.
That
they might not be. They might not be.
They would sing. They would sing Rio, Wild Boy, Save a Prayer, Ordinary World, New Moon on Monday, Hungry Like the Wolf, Girls on Film.
Yeah, but you could also probably go to any country and go, you put your left arm in, and they'd go, you could put your left arm out, couldn't you?
Or Girls on Film. Have you actually heard the Christmas Boots ad is actually using Girls on Film?
Is it? They've been, yeah.
So
but the Sainsbury's ad all summer has been using Paul Weller. It doesn't mean you get into the final vault.
Will you be proposing Paul Weller?
Might be.
See, so what? See, there you go.
But I won't be citing the fact that it's been used in the Sainsbury's ad.
Apart from
what we've got to think about here is, I mean, when I entered this debate, I was not nailed on platinum by any choice. No chance, because I was definitely Club Lounge. So I've been thinking and dwelling on, do I put them in club or do they deserve?
Are we getting close to decision time then?
I think we are.
Rodney,
what? We haven't heard an awful lot from you, Rodney. What? Before we go to that decision, I'd like to hear what your honest opinion about the musical legacy of Duran Duran.
He's quite keen to talk about legacy now. He wasn't, when we talked about Kraftwerk. He's picking and choosing.
Because we talked about it for half an hour.
Stephen won a system, but here's my honest opinion of them. Right, I have actually got a massive soft spot for Duran Duran as a band, and I think it comes down to a couple of things. Is actually they were a band. Each of them could play their instruments.
Yeah.
There's no shrouding that they could do that.
Yep.
And they like to play stadiums. The Live Aid thing was not a one-off, and they could play stadiums. They could play. I think the songs were good, catchy, proper pop. The real pop about them, and the fact that they could play in America, they could hold a crowd there, I think goes to their credit. The link to the Bond thing, I think, was just class, and that just added to the whole, I think, legacy of the band. And of course, Bond only really associate themselves with acts that help promote them. So as much as I think they are pop, and some people think pop
Rodney, let me just stop you there, because
they also
before you give an actual decision on what level.
No, I'm not. I wasn't going to.
Rejection. I will say, to my detriment, there's politics to be played here. Because these two may or may not support you in the future. I may or may not support you in the future. You may be persuaded towards a higher vote than your instinct tells you. You may be persuaded the other way.
This is not personal.
I couldn't possibly.
This is not personal to me. I just go on the artist at the time and put before me, like in a court.
At what time? The early 80s or
No, and
2025.
I will judge every person or band as it comes, without conceived ideas.
And
Stephen,
remember, it is a majority vote. So
Stephen, and always remember, this band strengthened and united our friendship whenever we went to a concert
what? Because
in
he got pulled over by
in
the St.
19
John's ambulance.
exactly in 1986. Do not put a dagger into our four friendship.
It is. It is. It is the ultimate story of the four of us. Well, yeah,
Exactly.
there's also the story of you and Lou Reed. But if
Oh
Lou
yeah,
Reed
true.
comes
Oh,
up in the future, we'll talk about
Have
that
a go
at
with
the
that.
time.
Same
Uh,
venue as
It's a
well.
perfect
yeah.
world.
Rodney, as the chairman here, are we going to start with Gareth, or are we going to start with somebody like
Oh well, no,
Stephen?
we start.
Let's build the tension.
Yeah, start with Gareth.
Let's go. We know what Gareth's going to go to, but let's start with Gareth. Go to Richard. Go with me, and then let's finish up
Yes.
Yeah,
with
okay.
Rodney.
Always finish with a Rodney.
Nailed on platinum for me, and I will tug at our sentimental heartstrings to say this was our first concert together as four friends going to see Duran Duran.
Okay. Before this, I was thinking about it today. I was thinking I could disappoint Gareth by going club because, even though I've seen them loads of times, he's more excited and more passionate about Duran Duran now than probably I am. However, I do admire the fact that they're still going and they still try their best to bring out good music. If it was a case of albums, they would probably be in the club lounge, but I'm talking about guardians of the vinyl vault. So I think they've done enough over their lifespan of their career as a band. The fact that they've stuck together and have been icons of pop music. Therefore, I feel with the combination of music, video, and influence and everything in one package, I think I've now been persuaded by Gareth and by Rodney to put them at the platinum level.
So it is I. I have to be honest. There's two really big extremes that both Gareth and Richard have pointed out. It was the band that all four of us seen together, despite the fact that was I'm 55 on Sunday. I'm the second youngest. This is the opportunity for the Gareth to say he's the
I'm the
youngest.
youngest.
I'm the second youngest of the quartet. So we literally, that would have been what, 40 years ago, 39, 40 years ago, but we still remember it. I still remember his little heels going above his head over the thing. And Rodney was I can remember Rodney being just behind me and Gareth being at the side of me, and us looking at each other, and you'll only get this on YouTube and going, huh?
Oh, what's happening?
As he's disappeared and he's taken
Anyway, enough of that.
back. It's a
Back to the.
fantastic, but it is a fantastic memory. It's a great memory. Thank
It's a
you.
careless memory.
Yeah.
It is. But and I also will say that, do you know what? It was a brilliant, not Richard's over the barrier, but it was Duran Duran as a whole was a brilliant zeitgeist moment. I don't want to ban them for life because they were the early 80s. They were that bleached. What did you call Richard? What did you call it when you didn't have full bleach, but it was
Highlights.
highlights
Yeah.
in your hair, and you had slight makeup, but not full, but enough to know it was makeup. And you did have some catchy tunes, sung dreadfully, but you did have some absolutely catchy tunes. I'm gonna go for Club Lounge.
Well done. I think
Ooh,
that's
good.
perfectly acceptable.
Thank you.
Rodney,
Oh,
we've got 2 platinum, 1 Club Lounge. You have the decide. Well, if you go for Club Lounge, it goes to Blue Sky, but you could go for platinum, and quite understandably so.
or he could certainly flip out
Or he
and bargain.
could go again. Exactly.
I doubt that.
He's thinking deeply here, isn't it? Oh, do you want to take a
Big
moment?
sigh.
What they've got in their strength is the impact they had in the 80s and their endurance all the way through.
I like it.
And
Endurance is a great word.
and the fact that they have continued to do that. And I think you look at some of the people that were prepared to collaborate with them in different spin-offs, like Arcadia, for example. These were serious musicians who also were happy to play with them because they all could play. They all could play their instruments.
You still haven't decided, have you?
No, haven't.
And Rodney, let me just remind you also, they don't need the money now, but they still go on big tours. They develop new music, which I know they always think about new things. Like the Halloween album last year called Dance Macabre was a mixture of new material and trying to do some covers out. Even though they got nailed.
Excuse me, I thought it was my.
I was also gonna say, I mean, Richard has presented more powerful arguments than Gareth has.
That's not true. My full spiel did it.
Let
Rodney go. Let Rodney go.
Come on, Rodney, then.
There's one thing that wasn't mentioned actually is that in the 2012 Olympics, you may remember that there were bands asked to represent each of the four nations of the UK, and Duran Duran represented England, and Northern Ireland were represented by Snow Patrol, for example. And it's only a small little thing, but you sort of think, oh, okay, I get that. They were the sound of pop. They were sound of pop 80s, but they were all sound of pop 80s in a band.
Rodney.
I know you are, Stephen.
We're going to push
for the very fact that A, they could all play their instruments. B, they work with some of the best. C, I always think the Live Aid thing is important, and I know they didn't play brilliantly then, but Live Aid wouldn't have been right without them. That's why they still played in Philadelphia. Because of that stupid bloody concert in the King's Hall, which probably actually was the start of the gel and the glue to us. I'm gonna go platinum level.
Congratulations! You have been awarded platinum level.
So hallelujah.
Hallelujah. And actually, my conscience is clear. I like Duran Duran.
Oh, Rodney. Rodney, I love you. I love you,
Rodney.
You do realize
I just want to hug you now.
Virtual hug, Gareth. There you go.
We must also commend Stephen for being fair. Yeah.
I think they're my guilty secret. They're your go-to when you want a little bit of the 80s, but you want a bit of a band.
I think, Rodney, you and I have occupied the higher ground here. And to think these other two Philistines, as I've called them in a previous episode, and I stand by that until I'm corrected. We have opened our ears and eyes and minds. They could do well to follow.
Stephen, we're the epitome of cultural diversity.
Rodney,
Richard,
Gareth, I've got another good story for you that you may have forgotten. Mr. Coffee, who we all know,
Birdie Coffee,
quite stiff.
He was a lovely bloke. He was from the Ards Peninsula.
Music teacher at Down High. Was very kind of stuck in his classical ways, but he gave us the opportunity. I don't know if we took it in turns, but to bring in something that we felt was important to us musically.
Yeah,
and he had a TV with a video underneath it, and he let me play "View to a Kill" that I had taped off telly, and he play and he listened to it, and we played it to the class, and I thought I was well proud.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Well, there you go. So
in honor of Mr. Coffee,
on that bombshell,
Duran Duran go into the vault at platinum level, but
I'm stunned and surprised, not disappointed particularly.
That's actually as good a vote you're going to get, guys.
I'm just looking for, Rodney. Here's the key word for future episodes: reciprocation.
Stephen, they haven't done that.
Whenever you get to dance,
they've never done it.
No. in the vinyl vault, I've backed you in a lot of your dance acts.
Vaguely.
I have. You have.
Anyway,
Anyway,
we know he's smarting, but let's all celebrate.
that is the end of the Guardians of the Vinyl Vault podcast. You've been listening to Richard Irvine, Gareth Need, Stephen Moore, myself, Rod Maxwell. And
Wild boys!
if you indeed.
Yes.
Anyway,
Come on, we should all do that at least.
Wild boys, never
Never
losing. Right, you can watch this on YouTube. You can catch that as well. And this has been the Guardians of the Vinyl Vault over and out. Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.